comes. Who is out there? Oh, try and balance this thing up a bit, eh? Think that made it worse. Nobody. Oh, here we go. Orange Moose and Reptiles and More YouTube. I checked out your channel actually the other day, guys. You've got your one video up. You'll have to do more. Wombats. Yeah, who doesn't like wombats? It's actually World Wombat Day, which is why I thought I'd do a bit of an extra live. I wasn't going to do a live today. I'm yeah, not supposed to be taking half an hour out of my time, but I thought, you know, why not say hello and have a chat about wombats? Who doesn't love wombats? So you've all, of course, met Boo. Boo's our baby common wombat, and she's enjoying her dinner, or brekkie. If you're a wombat, I suppose, you wake up night time, so having some wheat bix and oats and carrot. What do you reckon? 3 people out there. So hello everybody, introduce yourselves, tell me what you're doing today. Do you follow us on Facebook? I've been putting up wombat posts like every hour for the last, I don't know, 6-7 hours since this morning. And I've got like another 10 wombat posts to go. How are you? I'm good, thanks, Parry. How are you, mate? And Boo's just tucking into her dinner. 4 people out there. Hello, today I had orchestra practice. What do you play in the orchestra? I was never any good at those more fancy instruments. I play guitar a little, and I pluck at the ukulele, but that's about my musical extent. The violin. I've always been tempted to play the violin. I don't mind country music. There's a bit of violin in that, but you know, it's, I just don't have the time to take up anything else. With all my animals and then my day job on the farm, it's never ending. Hey Boo. How am I? I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it's been a big day. Mainly tried piano, not very good at it. I played piano for, I don't know, a couple of months when I was a kid. But I pretty quickly learned you can haul a guitar when you go places. It's a bit of a social thing. Whereas, you know, unless you happen to have a piano in whichever room you go into, yeah, it's not the same to me. What has my big day included? Oh, well, I work on a farm, so I spent this morning sorting out spraying contractors and moving sheep and a few things like that. I had a snake call out later on this afternoon. Yeah, crutching our rams, all sorts of things. And then coming home, feeding all my animals and the little tacker as well. And got to edit a video for this Wednesday morning. So the other day I filmed a video on the king brown, or the mulga snake, which hopefully I'm ready to put out Wednesday morning Australian time. Right, what's everybody else been up to today besides orchestra practice? Also, sorry about the other day that my friend Liam was using the account. That's all good. No worries at all. I won't hold that against you. But yeah, I saw your channel, guys. You've got your one video. You'll have to put up some more. What do you reckon, Boo? Hi, g'day, Mad Aussie Mum. That's a great name. How are you? How are the kids? With a name like that, I'm assuming you've got a couple. Yeah, one of my babies. This is Boo, and my other baby makes a few appearances in our online videos. It's Isabella, my little daughter, and these two are not too far apart from age, so the two of them are chaos together. Best buddies. Boo's excited. Normally she doesn't get fed until dark, but because it's World Wombat Day, I thought I'll feed her a bit early and have a video. Not too bad, Hut. Have 2. No, well, yeah. Congratulations. I'm sure they're special. They all are, aren't they? We put up another video on Liam's trip in Malaysia. When did you do that? I checked out your video, I don't know, the day, a couple of hours after my last live stream. When was that? Saturday morning. So yeah, I'll have a look for another one. That's the thing with YouTube. You have to keep putting stuff up all the time. I've stopped, you know, or slowed down several times because, you know, life just gets busy. But once you get to a certain size, I stop and suddenly people start sending a message or saying, you know, is everything okay? Why hasn't there been a video? So, you know, I thought, I'll keep going. I enjoy it, and the more you do, the more all you guys seem to enjoy it. So I can't let you all down. You have to excuse all the farm noise in the background. We've got 8 horses here and all sorts of other critters. And a very loud eater. Let's see if I can keep messages up. Whoop. So, I suppose while we're here, I'm not sure if we'll get too many more people. It's a weird time. How much is my new reptile shed going to cost me? How much have I saved for it? I'm estimating it's going to cost me about $5,000. I've put about 2.5 away. Well, these is, yeah, no, she's pretty hard not to love, isn't she? Yeah, I've put about 2.5 away over the last few months. It might cost a little more. It depends on you know, what the electricians cost. The thing is, you know, have that much electricity running through a place, it needs to be done properly by, you know, a trade qualified sparky. So the concrete slab is going to cost me 2.5. I've already got the shed and I'm going to build it myself. Just need the materials, and yeah, sparky might cost a little bit more as well. So yeah, we're guessing around the $5,000 mark. And best of all, like I said, means I can live stream from inside the reptile shed, feeding videos and cleaning, all that sort of stuff. Am I putting solar panels up as well? Funny you ask that. I'm not putting them on the shed, just because they're very expensive. But we are getting solar on our house in the next few weeks, because we go through like 10 grand a year in power with all my reptiles. So yeah, it's all going to be connected. It's just coincidence that those two things line up. So yeah, we will be getting solar power. Hopefully it makes a big difference. We use a lot of electricity, especially, you know, we're based here in southwest Victoria. It's pretty cold, and we keep a fair few tropical reptiles, especially the crocodiles. They take a lot of power to keep warm. By the time, you know, you heat 600-700 litres of water. So it'll be good. Yeah. I have a 5 kilowatt system. I'm pretty sure we're getting something like a 20 kilowatt system. We're getting the biggest system that you're legally allowed on a domestic residence. It's going to be huge. It's costing us a fair bit. We're paying it off for the next 5-6 years. But, you know, we want to put our money where our mouth is. We teach people about being environmentally friendly, you know, saving the planet, all that sort of thing. And with the amount of power we use, I feel a lot better that we're, you know, doing our bit. Like I said, putting our money where our mouth is. What's my favourite bird? I like kookaburras. Kookaburras are really cool. Tawny frogmouths, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. What's your favourite bird, mate? We really need a 10 kilowatt to run 2 pools, run a pool and 2 pumps plus irrigation. Yeah, it all choose. We sort of thought, oh, we better go big or go home. So, plus, you know, we're a working farm here as well. How old is the Wombat? Boo is her name. She's about 16 months old. It's the most you'll ever see her sit still in a rainbow lorikeets. The rainbow lorikeets are good fun. I've had a couple of rainbow lorikeets over the years, and yeah, they're very cool birds. Talking to kookaburras, we had one flying on a window chasing skinks. Poor thing. They're not the brightest of birds sometimes, kookaburras. Anything that moves. We had a kookaburra here at one point for educational display, and he never laughed just because we've got wild kookaburras. And I'm pretty sure in his head he's a lone kookaburra. Why is he going to proclaim territory and have all these, you know, other locals come and beat up on him? What sort of farm? We run sheep here. Yeah, sheep, and we've got a few horses, and I work down the road where we've got 4,500 sheep. If you're a fan of Wombats, you should take a visit to Wilson's Prom. Yeah, I grew up east of Melbourne, so I've been to the Prom a couple of times. Fair few Wombats there. Unfortunately, just because it was fine, wasn't so about the window and the furniture though. Unfortunately, one of the things we wanted to talk about, being World Wombat Day, this girl here, you know, she's officially listed as the common wombat. But, g'day Shannon, how are you, mate? But, you know, the word common wombat's a bit of a misleading term. Because, yeah, she's common in Wilson's Prom or up the high country. But out where I live, in southwestern Victoria, they're actually extinct. They were found here until the First World War and we shot them out. So they're not very common in a lot of places of their age. If you haven't already, if you look us up on Facebook, I've been putting up wombat posts all day, like every hour on the hour, for Wombat Day, because I'm slightly a bit of a wombat fanatic. And One of them was the former distributions of all 3 species of wombats that we have in Australia. And all 3 have had a massive reduction. Of course, the northern's the worst. He's only found in 2 national parks now. But yeah, the common has disappeared from at least half of its former range. So, can we really call it common? I don't know. I like the name forest wombat. A lot of carers prefer the name bare-nosed wombat, but I in my head keep thinking bear, like not bear without any hair. Doesn't make sense. I have Facebook. Yeah, just look up Wicked Wildlife on Facebook. Wombats are the bulldozers of the animal world. Yeah, they sure are. And another post that I put up today on wombats is, and a video that we're bringing out next week, is on how important that bulldozer nature of theirs has. There was a study done in South Australia on the southern hairy-nosed wombat, where they found everything from skinks to brush-tailed rock wallabies to fairy penguins using wombat burrows to survive extreme heat and bushfires and things. So we really need wombats. Without wombats, all these other animals that can't really dig these big burrow systems also lose a home. And you'd think, who'd want to go in a home with a wombat? But she'll dig up to 12 burrows in her habitat in the wild, because if she runs into a dingo, she doesn't want to run a K1.5 back. She wants to go to the closest one. So because of that, she has all these extra burrows she's not using, and habitat's very rarely left empty. Other animals will use that. I would have a pet wombat colony. Yeah, the common wombats, they don't like dealing with each other all that too much. Can wombats be domesticated? Wombats aren't domesticated. I suppose in theory you can domesticate anything. It depends what you call domestication. Domestication, in my opinion, doesn't mean making something friendly. Wombats, or Boo is friendly not because of her breeding. She was a wild-born orphan that just never seen other wombats. She was, the size of an orange when her mother was hit by a car, and she come into captivity that way. Domestication to me is when human beings have changed an animal. Domestic animals don't have to be friendly. Look at fighting bulls in Spain. They're not very friendly, but they're domestic. They don't resemble their wild cousin any longer. So to me, that's domestic. I think all the albino corn snakes and things you get in America, they're certainly domestic as far as animals go. I'm not very sociable as well, so I guess I'm a wombat too. Yeah. Oh, well, these guys, they don't particularly like each other. The hairy-nosed wombats will share a burrow. But commons, they don't like each other. And the way that they avoid confrontations is actually, here you go, if I got one here. It's a bit dry, I can't see it. This stuff, it's wombat poo. And it's actually sort of square. And really cool fact about wombats, the reasons they've got this square poo is so it doesn't roll downhill. They basically use it, they leave it on top of rocks and in front of their burrow and things like this. And by it not rolling away, it's used as a marker. So if another wombat comes to the entrance of a burrow and there's this square poo sitting on the front, they know that somebody else is down there. They're not going to go down there and they can avoid a fight. So without this, we'd have wombats bluing all over the bush, I guess. So yeah, another cool fact. Wombats have square poo. They dig holes for everybody else to live in and they got square poo. Their poo is highly evolved. Yeah, it's a mix. Wombats in captivity, it's not as obvious just because they get, lush food all the time. But in the wild, it takes 14 days for food to go from one end of the wombat to the other end of the wombat. Heard that corn snakes are breeding in Tasmania, Queensland. Do I think they'll become an invasive species? They already are an invasive species. Technically, I suppose, if you get one breeding, it's an invasive species. It's just not a common invasive species. Do I think they could become common? They certainly could. A lot of Australia is suitable habitat for the corn snake, climatically speaking. I wouldn't say there's a ton of them, though. There's a few found every year, and the argument is whether they're born in the wild or whether they're escaped pets or dumped pets, because there's plenty of them. Happy World Wombat Day! Yes, exactly. That's why we're doing our video today. I can't be too long because I'll be in trouble from the other half. We're cooking dinner, but between wombats and cassowaries, we could forest Oz. Exactly, cassowaries are another good one. They're ecosystem builders, and wombats are the same. They might build different ecosystems. These guys are creating shelter and hides for other animals to live in. Yeah, cassowaries, without them, we don't have rainforests. So both keystone species is a good term for everybody. What's everybody else said? Have I ever tried to build a house out of wombat poo? I doubt it. You'd need a lot of wombats. Have I ever herped the mid-north coast? No, I haven't. I passed through a couple of times. But yeah, I used to live in Queensland. I did a fair bit up there. But and then I come all the way down to Victoria. There's not much. Will Boo ever be released back into the wild? No, Boo can't be released in the wild legally. Because she was orphaned in South Australia, they've got a different set of rules over there. anything orphaned in Victoria, whether or not they're going to survive, has to be released. It's just to stop people babying them up and saying, well, now I have to keep him. In South Australia, because they still issue so many permits to shoot them, they've basically decided, look, it's not fair to release them. So because of that, carers can take on wombats, but they're not allowed to release wombats. So the carer that was given Boo already has several wombats that she's giving permanent houses to, so she couldn't take on another one. So basically she said, would you like her? And yeah, we said yes. Wow, you really fast. You read really fast. Do you live in Victoria? Yeah, I live in southwest Victoria, near Hamilton, near the South Australian border. Where do you guys all live? Who's Boo's best friend? Me. Boo can't live with other wombats. She was kept with other wombats to see if she'd be suitable, and she's not. She's got no wombat social skills. These guys are solitary, and they're born one at a time. So usually they'd learn to interact with other wombats by following mum around. That's close to me. I live near Melbourne. Yeah, I grew up in Melbourne. It's 4 hours away from me. So close as far as country standards goes, but certainly not down the road. I've got to visit Melbourne for a couple of collaborations I want to do with people. But yes, it's not right down the road. I found an orphan ringtail possum taken to the proper carer to release her back into the wild. Yeah, so anything found in Victoria has to be released into the wild. I don't know about Port Fairy, but I know the local carer here I do a fair bit of work with. Boo is my type of wombat. She can help me out with the ground orchids. Yeah, Boo will eat pretty much anything. I deserve more subscribers. Thank you. You can help. Make sure you share it with all your friends and, yeah, get the game going. As the crow flies where to Melbourne. Whoop, hang on. Let me see that. Wouldn't corn snakes be eaten by some of our other predatory snakes? Well, yeah, they could be, but the same way that Burmese pythons in Florida as babies could be eaten by everything, but they don't eat them all, and they end up growing past the prey range of other species. So, like eastern brown snakes are food for mulga snakes, but it hasn't stopped eastern brown snakes doing well. They fit into different niches in the ecosystem, and yeah, there's certainly space for them. No different to cane toads. Keelbacks have learnt to eat cane toads. Some of our black snakes have shrunk their heads so that they're able to eat a very small cane toad. It hasn't stopped cane toads. They might have predators, but yeah, I don't see them ever being a good thing. We don't want any exotic reptiles loose in Australia. Ground orchids need disturbed soils. Yeah, there's some ground orchids in my area, but they're an introduced species. I don't know what they're called. I'm not much of a botanist. But I know the local field gnats group, when I get a chance to go and help them pull them all out at the local state park. They're an African orchid of some sort. What do wombats smell like? A doormat, a little bit. She feels like a doormat. Who's eating like you, yeah, she loves her tucker. Yeah, I don't know, Boo sort of smells like dirt, I suppose. I'm a polymath. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I can answer wombat questions, but yeah, I'm not a linguist. Whoop, I'm missing some of these comments. So yeah, as I was talking about World Wombat Day, there's a couple of different sort of things I wanted to bring up. The first one was, how important burrowing animals are. I said already that, they provide habitat for other animals, and we're going to have a video on this in 2 weeks. Polymath, interest in many fields. I'd describe myself as that. Wildlife, I suppose, is my specialisation, but I was always a history buff and things. Some of the other things, like you were saying about orchids requiring disturbed soils, a lot of burrowing animals, yeah, we've done a lot of studies into, especially in arid areas, things like bilbies, disturbing the soil and the different grasses and stuff, growing more successfully in disturbed soils from burrowing animals like bettongs and bilbies and other places with unbroken ground. It becomes more hydrophilic, absorbs the water better, rather than the hydrophobic soil, which hasn't been disturbed and just repels the water. So digging animals, yeah, they're important for vegetation as well. Why do we celebrate World Wombat Day? Because wombats are awesome. And because, unfortunately, wombats are sort of the poor cousin of the koala. The wombat's closest cousin is actually the koala. She might not look it, but yeah, she's kind of like a ground-dwelling koala. Boo encourages seed germination. Yeah, well, you can just see around here, this was all bare, I don't know, 90 days ago. And yeah, we've got a few seeds coming up already. So the other reason we want to celebrate World Wombat Day is wombats need our help. As I said, the common wombat you'd think she's doing fine, and in some places she is. But in other places like southwest Victoria, she's pretty much extinct. The southern hairy-nosed wombats also had a massive reduction in their distribution. They've been shot out of a lot of places, and today they're still filling southern hairy-nosed wombat burrows in with bulldozers. So, the poor guys can't get a break. And the reason we really should know better is the northern hairy-nosed wombat, which used to be found from the Victorian border through Deniliquin in New South Wales, all the way up to sort of north-central Queensland. There's only 250 of those in the world. They're found within 2 national parks. So, wombats, well, one of our wombats is one of the most endangered animals on the planet. When you think of, endangered species, most people think of pandas as a good example. Well, pandas are the emblem of the World Wildlife Fund. They're the emblem of endangered species. And there's 1,800 pandas. There's 250 northern hairy-nosed wombats, and who's heard of them? Nobody. And, I do a lot of schools. So I often tell people that, the hairy-nosed, the northern hairy-nosed, has it really tough. A few years ago, people caught some out of Claremont National Park because they're all in one national park, and they moved them to St. George, just 6 or 7 of them, so that they didn't have the whole population in one place. And the other month now, the first baby born outside Claremont National Park was caught on a camera trap. So they're breeding outside their tiny little national park that they were. I see a wombat at least once every year. I see a wombat every single day. But yeah, once a year, you'd think before we arrived, you should be seeing them absolutely everywhere. They're important as far as ecosystem engineers. Like somebody said above, is it Jacqueline was pointing out, they're important for seed distribution, for germination. They create burrows for other animals to live in. They're ecosystem engineers. Somebody was saying about Duringala. I can remember in the Duringala Wilderness, they had massive wombats. So yeah, Boo will probably not get quite as big as the wombats out east. Just the population. I think beardongs, quolls, when I think endangered, that's what we need more of. How, as I said, I go to schools, and kids genuinely love Australian wildlife, but they probably know more about African and Asian wildlife than our own species. Is Boo my second daughter? Yeah, pretty much. She's my baby. Do you want to say hello to everybody, Boo? Oh. Sorry, we're running low on batteries. Yeah, she's my baby. Done some oats. You want to go back to your bowl, huh? I need a wombat named Jeffrey. He would have Ugg boots so he doesn't dig inside. You cannot stop them digging inside. I used to have a wombat in a rental house, and yeah, I had to replace all the floorboards. It was crazy. Bad idea. It's just that she was a baby and she was still being fed 4 or 5 times a day. Our marsupials are weird, like everyone in Oz is hysterical laughing. We certainly are a unique bunch. But luckily, Australians as the people are breeding up a lot quicker than most of our marsupials are. So, yeah, hopefully they can start to outnumber us again one day. Quokkas, yeah, it doesn't get much cooler than quokkas. And a lot of people, quokkas are famous for being found on Rottnest Island, but a lot of people don't realise that there is quokkas on the mainland of Western Australia, and they're almost extinct on the mainland. The Gilbert's Potteroo, near Albany in Western Australia. There's 33 Gilbert's Potteroos in the world. Most endangered mammal on the planet. And who knows about the Gilbert's Potteroo? So it's a shame. Have I ever heard of the antechinus? Yeah, I caught one once. I used to catch wildlife for the mines in central Queensland. They'd dig a big trench, and every day I'd have to go and catch anything that fell in the trench so everybody could go back to work. And we caught 2 dusky antechinus, I believe. Musky rat kangaroo, yeah, he's in trouble. And I suppose he'd be another one for seed dispersal, being a rainforest species. All sorts of cool marsupials we're chatting about today. Sorry about the big finger, the messages disappear after a minute. So, like I said, this week I've got a video coming out on the king brown or the mulga snake. But next week I'll have that video coming out on burrowing animals and why they're so important. So, yeah, stay tuned. And if you haven't, I've already mentioned it a couple of times, but if you haven't already, check out our Facebook page, because if you like wombats, we've been doing wombat posts like every hour or so for the whole day. So, yeah, there's all sorts of wombat facts up there today. There are ours, the marsupials. Boo needs her own webcam and web page. Somebody could set up a fan page for Boo, I suppose. A king brown's the same as eastern browns. I should say you'll have to wait until Wednesday, but I'll give you a spoiler and say no. They're completely different. The king brown is a misleading name. The king brown is actually a black snake. So he's not related to the brown snake at all. If the two meet, the king brown will probably eat the eastern brown. So mulga is a better name for the king brown. Are there sugar gliders in Australia? Yeah, Australia's pretty much the home of sugar gliders. Most of the sugar gliders in the United States originate from Papua New Guinea, but they're Australasian, I suppose, which is Australia and Papua New Guinea. Our gliders are a little bit bigger than the gliders you see in the pet trades in the States. But yeah, gliders are found over the entire east coast of Australia. They've been released into Tasmania, where they're actually being an issue. Sugar gliders in Tasmania are eating swift parrots. So the swift parrot's an endangered bird that breeds in Tasmania and flies to the mainland to spend the winters. And when they go back to Tasmania, they're not used to having sugar gliders. We brought sugar gliders over there in the 1840s, I believe. And yeah, the sugar gliders are eating the swift parrots. Can you keep them as pets, wombats or sugar gliders? You can actually keep either species on a private wildlife license, but you will not find wombats, unfortunately. You can keep wombats on a permit, but you can only keep captive-born wombats. Whereas every wombat I've ever had the pleasure of working with, such as Boo, is an orphan that's come through South Australia. So yeah, you can keep a wombat, but you can't get a wombat, if that makes sense. Sugar gliders you can certainly keep. They're very popular. The only thing is you don't want to follow, no offense to anybody out there, the American advice. You know, you look up YouTube videos on sugar gliders, and there's lots of videos of them being kept in like bird cages and things like this. But like the way we keep our sugar, well, I've got squirrel gliders. I've got a 2.4 meter aviary, and I'm about to build one bigger. Which once I get that built, it's going to be large enough that we can do videos in there and things like that. So yeah, you want to walk in aviary for sugar gliders, in my humble opinion. Well, it's not even a humble opinion. It's the recommended code of practice for captive animals. So it's kind of a condition. Just need a basic license. What were you saying before? What wildlife would I love to add to the zoo? I'd love to get my hands on some quolls. I live in southwest Victoria, where the rabbit was actually introduced in Portland to Victoria in the 1800s. And the first introduction of rabbits was unsuccessful because quolls ate them all. So they put a bounty on quolls to get rid of them so they could introduce rabbits. So it'd be fantastic to have a quoll where I could talk to locals about what we used to have here. I should open with private tours. I can't, unfortunately. The issue with opening to the public is you become a zoo, not a demonstrator, and suddenly you need a 3.2 metre fence around the property, public toilets, all sorts of things like that. So we take our animals to other events, but we go to schools and agricultural shows and kindergartens and fetes and sheepvention and wood, wine and roses, all sorts of things like that. If you're from the southwest, you'll know those events. But yeah, it just means people don't come here. We're sort of just not set up for it. How many animals do I have? Maybe 200? I don't know. Yeah, it'd be about 200, not including sheep. And well, we've got 8 horses, 6 dogs, plus my mammals, all my reptiles, you know, rats, mice for the edibles, that sort of thing. So yeah, there'd be a couple of hundred. Yeah, it's a full-time job. So if anybody wants to help out with that, feel free. Check out our Patreon account, patreon.com/wickedwildlife, where I'll chuck your name at the end of all the videos that well, not the live streams, but at the end of all our videos, I'll put anybody up from Patreon as a contributor to our show. Have I done a video on the sugar gliders? I've done a video on my squirrel gliders once or twice. But I've got another video coming up when I finish filming the last few segments on should we keep native animals as pets, and the squirrel gliders will probably make an appearance in that. I should do an all my pets video. I should do. I suppose when I started this channel, I deliberately stayed away from the captive husbandry sort of stuff. Not because I don't think they should be kept as pets. I think lots of native animals make good pets. But because other friends of mine, like Jake Peterson from Aussie Reptiles with a Z, he does the captive husbandry stuff really good. Criticam, if you're into Australian reptiles, Criticam do amazing videos. Coops Reptiles, Australians, pythons and other reptiles. There's so many good stuff on captive husbandry. And as far as like the all my pets, I've sort of steered clear of, you know, collection videos and unboxings and those sorts of things, because I didn't want to be one of those people who looks like they're buying animals just so they can be, look what I've got. Any animal I have, I either have because I'm using it for education or because it needed at home. So, yeah, maybe one day I will. Just at the moment, it's conservation and education is sort of what we've sort of based ourselves on. Hopefully, it makes us a little bit different. I better get going. No worries, guys. Have a good one. Do you have bees? No, I've always thought about getting bees, but there's a problem. I'm allergic. Yeah. I'm still tempted. I'd like to get native bees. If you haven't, got the drift, anything I keep is usually Australian. Even my dog's a dingo, and even my sheepdogs are Australian coolies. Stingless bees. I'll have to look into it. That was brilliant. Well, the why I don't do collection videos. Yeah, like there's some very, very good YouTubers, like Taylor Nicole Dean. I think that's her name. I don't watch her much anymore. And, she's a really nice seeming person. But every time you turn the computer on, she's got an unboxing. I've got a new one of these or a new one of those. And, she makes her money out of people watching videos because a lot more people watch her videos than our videos. But, you don't want to be one of those people who's buying animals just to please other people. Buying animals shouldn't be your way into YouTube fame. We just slowly chug along the way we do. Do I keep dingoes? Yeah, Aztec is my baby. Dingoes is a large part of my background. I started volunteering at a dingo sanctuary when I was 17, 18. Then I was a dingo keeper in Townsville for a year and a bit. And when I moved to Maru Koala Park, I worked with everything, but the dingoes was one of my main projects there. And not long after that, I got given Aztec, who's a pure alpine dingo, and he's in a few of our videos. A couple of weeks ago, we did a video on how dingoes shape deserts, and Aztec's in that. Actually awesome. If you opened your eyes to a lot of different things, maybe think of your channel. Yeah, people talk about YouTube's full. YouTube is never full. There's billions of people in the world. The only thing is you want to be different to everybody else, Oh, have you finished your dinner? She wants to cuddle with Dad. We still got some people out there. I'll have to wrap it up in another 5-10 minutes, but it's hard not to want to pet Wombat when you see her, but they're not always like her. She's still a baby, aren't you? You're like a toddler. So hello, everybody. So another difference with her and the other Wombats, you can see one of her hands here. Common Wombats actually have a grasping hand. Common Wombats, Forest Wombats, Bare-nosed Wombats, whatever you want to call them, because where they live, it's generally hilly country, and they've got to be able to haul themselves over rocks and logs and things like that. Whereas the Hare-nosed Wombats almost have like a dog foot. They live on flat country. Boo looks like a nice heat pack. Yeah, no, she's well, I think she enjoys me as a heat pack more than anything. Wombats are obviously warm-blooded like everything, all other mammals, but marsupials do run a few degrees cooler than other mammals. I've taken animals into the vet before, and vets who are not experienced with marsupials, and they think an animal's going into shock because its because its body temperature is low. But most marsupials run, 4 or 5 degrees cooler than a placental mammal like a human or a dog. And monotremes, like the platypus and the echidna, run a couple of degrees cooler again. So very strange. I suppose the more ancient the mammals get, the closer they get to being reptiles, essentially. All the way back to the platypus, it lays eggs. Platypus and the echidna, the only animals on Earth that can make an omelette. They have milk and eggs. There you go. Is there still some oats there? What are some reptiles that I have? I've got eastern brown snakes, tiger snakes, red bellies, death adders, a king brown snake, several carpet pythons, a water python, olive pythons, children's pythons, Stimson's pythons, spotted pythons, ridge-tailed goanna, sand goanna, bearded dragons, water dragons, blue-tongued lizards, shingleback lizards, broad-shelled turtles, eastern long-necked turtles, short-necked turtles, saw-shelled turtle. I know that I'm gonna remember one that I didn't mention, but there's a fair few reptiles. Yeah, a lot of the basic stuff. You want an eastern brown? Yeah, they're not. I've got a theory that the more common something is in the wild, the harder it is to get in captivity. Ringtail possums are a great example. Copperheads, like Shannon, you're obviously a reptile nut. Copperheads, eastern browns, ringtail possums. When something's common in captivity, red belly, sorry. Same thing though, you know, when something's common in the wild, people go, oh, why would I breed that? And they're really hard to get in captivity. So yeah, red bellies I think are one of the, not saying that anybody out there should keep venomous snakes if you don't have experience with venomous snakes, but for somebody starting, yeah, red bellies, copperheads are good starting ones. Especially if you're getting an adult or a sub-adult, something feeding. The issue with them is as babies, they're all assist fed, and assist feeding a lapids, if you're not used to it, kind of sucks. We're chewing on Dad. Huh? We're being shy. Anyway, guys, I suppose while we've still got a couple of people out there, I might have to wrap it up. I've got to get inside for dinner in a minute. But basically, I just wanted to drop by while we were feeding Boo and, yeah, say happy Wombat Day to everybody. Leave you with a couple of things, and that is that common wombats aren't common. Some of our wombats are very endangered and need your help, and wombats are critically important. They resist in germination, seed spread, they create habitat for other animals. So, you know, I love koalas to bits, but next time we think of endangered mammals that need our help, we should be thinking of this girl. Because, you know what? She's as Australian as crocodiles and koalas and everything else, and not many animals make homes for other people. So, yeah, everybody have a very happy Wombat Day. If you do want to know more about Wombat Day, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/wickedwildlife, because as I said, I've had wombat posts all day going. And if you want to help out with our mission to spread our wildlife message, check out patreon.com/wickedwildlife, where you can help out with everything we're doing and also get your name mentioned at the end of all our videos. Anyway, guys, thanks for that. And as always, have a good one and take care.